Welcome to Title Talk with your host, Drew Wishover, entrepreneur, a published author, and owner of Inspired Title Group, along with his co-host and CEO, Amy Maley. Each week, they offer you some laughs, industry terminology, tips and strategies, along with the occasional real estate professional to help educate you as it pertains to buying, selling, or just plain old homeownership. Thanks for spending time with them. Now, let's jump into today's episode of Title Talk.
Hey, good morning. Good morning, friends. Here we are. We're here again. Another day.
Cozy fireplace.
It's warm.
It's nice.
Nice and toasty. Hey, happy December 16th. Holy cow.
Holy jamoly.
Holy cow. Time is ripping.
What 2021?
Yep, amen. Time is absolutely
It
ripping.
sure is.
We are here again to join you guys for another segment of Title Talk. Thank you guys for joining. My name's Drew.
And my name is Amy.
We are Inspired Title, the title company that cares. I can't believe, I was out playing golf yesterday in December, and, then the winds hit, and now it's super cold again, and
Yeah,
the
it is.
fireplace is great.
It is very nice.
Yeah.
It's just-
Are you a snow for Christmas person?
I am.
I do, yeah.
I was driving home yesterday with the 60-degree weather, and I was like, it doesn't even feel like Christmas.
No.
I was talking to my mom, and she's like, what is it about right now that feels like anything but Christmas? I don't know if it's weather, I don't know if it's no snow,
I
I
think
don't
they
know.
push Christmas back till January.
We're like,
It's gonna be March and it's gonna be cold still.
it's crazy. I was looking at videos that pop up on Facebook,
Yeah.
oh, look at your videos from 7 years ago. So there was a video of my dog from 5 years ago, and
Yep.
she was hiding her tennis ball in the snow and then digging it back out. But good 2 feet of snow 5 years ago around this time,
It's
and I
crazy.
was like,
It's just crazy.
global warming? Do you believe in it?
I think so.
I believe in a global rotation. I think seasons are I
It's
think
getting deep.
no, I think seasons are shifting.
I do
Is
too.
what I think it is.
Mhm.
Because I'm a summer baby. I was born in August, and I used to, I love the warm,
Right.
and now I feel it's just very strange,
It
what's
is.
happening to
It
the
is.
universe.
Well, guys, we're thankful.
Sorry about that side
No,
note.
it's okay. We're thankful for you guys joining us here today. We are winding down our year here, and we've got some fun things to talk about today. And
We
we've
do.
got some happiness and joy that we're going to bring to you guys.
Yes.
And next week is our last show before
No.
Christmas.
Before Christmas, yes.
Yes.
I thought you were gonna say before the end of the year.
No.
So sorry. I should
Yes.
listen before I speak.
Listening
My
is
bad.
good. It's one of the lessons that we try to teach. So, hey, why don't you go first and start off with some fun facts.
There's very disappointing days today. I'm sorry.
Yeah?
I am very it's National Barney and Barbie Backlash Day.
Backlash.
Yeah.
Like people hating?
Yeah.
Ooh, that is kind of sad.
So I will admit I was a huge Barbie and Barney fan growing up.
Of course,
right.
it's your era. Yeah, Barney, definitely.
Were you, Brett?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can still sing the Barney song and all that, but I guess today is a day for parents who kind of remove Barbies and Barney from their household and
Put the elf on the shelf.
put something else out for the kids to enjoy that isn't Barbie or Barney.
I don't know if the kids today know Barney. I'm sure they know Barbie because it's, the
Of the big purple
doll.
dinosaur.
Yeah, okay.
Also, National Chocolate Covered Anything Day.
Oh, well, that's fantastic.
That's what I mean.
That's
I was
fantastic.
looking around for some chocolate covered nuts. Couldn't find any. You don't like chocolate covered nuts?
I like dark chocolate covered.
Pretzels?
No, coffee beans.
Oh no. Oh no.
You want some double caffeine? There you go.
Well, I was gonna say we went to look at our house in Indiana on
Mhm.
Tuesday, and I didn't even ask to stop at the Albany's factory, which they do have chocolate covered cocoa beans there.
Yes,
I resisted
they
the
do.
urge.
Yes, they do.
So yes, those are the two national days today.
Wow.
I know. I wish I had something more exciting to share with you guys, but I had to keep my streak going
I
on
wonder
national days.
if obviously they're going to be, these days will continue into next year, so you're going to have to report something different, because next year,
It'll be different dates.
Yeah, but, okay, so then tomorrow will be National Chocolate Covered Day.
Correct.
Right, but they're the same, just one day later.
Right, but I won't be talking about them. I had this for like 7 years
Oh my gosh.
before people get to hear the same things over and over
Okay,
again.
all
So
right.
I got nothing to worry about for the next
Fantastic.
2,100 days.
Fantastic. So I'll try to bring a little more fun to
Thank you.
the fun facts.
I'm ready.
Okay.
I have Barney face above my head.
I don't know, those of you guys that know me, these two lovely ladies here will absolutely agree with this. I'm sorry to say it, but I have this moment in time where I have a little bit of sarcasm, but I figured out why. I understand why. Because sarcasm decreases cortisol, and it's a chemical that's linked to stress and depression. So I'm releasing stress and depression. by
Yeah,
being
but you're making
sarcastic.
other people stressed and depressed.
Just be sarcastic to somebody else. Share it. Pay it forward. So yes, sarcasm decreases cortisol, a chemical linked to stress and depression. For all you sarcastic people out there. Hey, did you know?
I'm not sarcastic.
I know you're a fan of furry babies. I know both you guys are fans, and you both have all of them and all of that. So hang on. Hang on. Okay. I agree with part A. I'm sorry. I'm happy about part A of this. Part B kind of makes me feel okay too.
The suspense is
Okay,
getting
ready?
to me.
So in the UK, you're required to stop if you run over a dog, but not a cat. I think that's fabulous.
Well, dogs probably get ran over more.
I agree with that. That was exactly my first thought. Is going. Cats are usually not out milling around unless they're feral
And
cats.
they're stealthy.
So because really, yeah. I would feel terrible if I ran over a dog and I would stop naturally. I don't know that I would stop if I had a cat.
You have no soul. I don't even really like cats, and I would stop.
Yeah,
No. I'm not going to say anything.
Mm-hmm.
I was in
What?
tears this morning because mine's slipping.
See? You're a sarcastic, no-souled human right now.
But it's sarcasm and it decreases the chemical
I get it.
cortisol that relieves stress and depression.
I was
So
driving.
remember that.
I was driving home yesterday,
Mhm.
and I saw somebody hit a deer.
Did you really?
Yeah, like
It's a weird experience, isn't
it
it?
is so.
And the
strange.
noise is one of those.
Like you, I
It's a
still
thud.
get the and like I was trying to think because it was like it was right off the Grange
Okay.
on like 167th, so
Okay.
like pretty, a lot of traffic there. And
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
I wonder if it's because the wind is like howling so loud, like that. Like oh god, the car was
Yeah.
like destroyed in the front end of
It
it.
is. It
Oh,
is. Yeah. It's
Sorry.
crazy.
Speaking of animals getting hit on roads.
Yes. Yes. So, and my final fun fact is, no
Is this
matter
fun?
how far you run, you are always taking yourself with you. So you think about like I'm running away from a problem. I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna run, go. Well, you're taking yourself.
So the problem's still there.
Yeah, it's in your head.
Mm-hmm.
Like you gotta let it go. I'll talk more about that as we.
That's deep for a fun fact.
I was thinking like physically running.
But you are taking yourself with you. You're physically.
But
running.
that's my first thought that popped into my head.
Which is more fun. See, it's amazing, and I was just talking about this today with our coach. I said that it's amazing how when something is said, the perception of what that person that heard it
Yep.
gets. Like you will say something, and the perceived message is so very different than what your intention was.
It is so strange.
It's incredible, and
Like what people hear as to what you're meaning to say.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it is very.
and Brittany literally just proved that. So thanks, Britt. I appreciate that. So how did we do on our picks last week?
I mean,
Bum 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 bum.
I actually
You
thought
really should be having a hat on today, shouldn't you?
no because I didn't pick the Bears.
Okay, all right.
I was very. I thought I was pretty. I did.
You were
pretty good
close.
last
Yeah,
week.
you were in the top 5.
I lost like 13 points and I still didn't win.
I know.
I'm not bitter.
I know. Eileen only missed 1. Mm-hmm. Right on.
Curse.
Right on. Here come our picks for week 15. We're on,
Got a lot of games.
we're on week 15. Let us know more buys. It's
It's
over.
insane.
We're on week 15?
We are.
My bad.
Oh yes.
I'm
We'll cover that up. Don't worry about that. You know what?
It's because I missed a week. I
No, it's-
paid, but I didn't play.
Yeah, that is true.
That's very true.
That is very true. You know what? And it's fun because see, we here at Inspired Title, we make mistakes. We're human. It happens. It's okay.
We did.
This one doesn't cost anybody any issues or money or things like that. Yay! Because our producer is still the best.
She
And a
is.
great fireplace and a Christmas tree. This background, this is amazing.
It is
So
fantastic.
great.
I'm feeling so cozy.
It does. It feels great. Good job, Britt.
All
Go
right,
ahead.
so we are on week
Oh
15.
boy.
Starting tonight with Chiefs versus Chargers.
I like the Chiefs.
I like the Chiefs as well.
Okay.
Raiders Browns.
On
On the count of three, say it.
Raiders. Oh wait, Raiders Browns. I'm gonna go Browns.
And that was a quick count of three too.
Yeah, that was it was bad. Sorry. Do it again.
Okay, ready? This is Patriots versus Colts.
Okay.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Patriots.
Ready? Cowboys versus Giants. 1, 2, 3.
Cowboys.
Ready? Texans versus Jags. 1, 2, 3. Texans.
Jags.
Ooh, this is fun. Is it not?
No, it's fine. I just like listening to you count. It's kind of amusing.
Titans versus Steelers.
Titans.
I didn't even.
Oh, were
I
you
was-
thinking
Well, no, I was giving you time to think.
or a count? Okay.
I know how to count to 3.
Titans. No, I didn't. I figured that.
See, that's another one of those things where you said one thing meaning one thing, and I took it as you saying I don't know how to count.
Right. Well, that was yeah.
Okay, ready? Jets versus Dolphins. 1, 2, 3. Dolphins.
Mm-hmm.
Washington versus Eagles.
Wow.
That's a
Wow.
funny.
Breakfast. Your breakfast sandwich is
Ready?
served.
I didn't eat. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Washington.
Who are they playing? Eagles.
Washington versus Eagles.
Eagles.
You're going Eagles.
You just disrupted me with the whole little,
Cardinals versus Lions.
Oh, Cardinals.
What?
What were you gonna count again? I'm sorry.
Panthers versus Bills. 1, 2, 3. Bills.
Bills.
Well, that was
I wanted to make sure that I had, it was just giving enough time. There's a delay.
Bengals versus Broncos. 1, 2, 3.
Bengals.
Okay. Falcons versus 49ers. 1, 2, 3.
Niners.
49ers. Okay. Seahawks versus Rams. 1, 2, 3.
Rams.
Oh my God, that was aggressive.
Yeah, it was. It was aggressive.
Packers versus Ravens. Is Lamar Jackson out?
Still waiting to hear.
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
1, 2, 3.
Packers.
Saints versus Bucks. 1, 2, 3.
Bucks.
Sadly, Saints are doing better though.
Mhm.
Vikings versus Bears.
1, 2, 3.
Bears.
Vikings.
Bears are gonna win.
They're not.
I'm feeling it.
They're not gonna win.
I'm feeling it.
Okay.
Feeling good.
Great.
Great.
Done. There they are.
And it's the first week of playoffs in our fantasy league.
And you're in it.
And I'm in it! I have a bye week.
You made it last. You got a bye week even. That is the traditional Amy dance. Exactly. And then she goes sideways and out. Yeah, I've seen it more than anybody should ever have to see it. It's pretty incredible.
It'll be 7 years that you've been watching these dances.
Oh my goodness, 7 whole years.
It's like a quarter of my life. Or a third. A fifth?
It is a
I'm
fifth
done.
of your
A fifth
life.
of my
Yes.
life.
Yes, indeed. So we're gonna move on to some
Oh boy.
gaming here. We like to call this Christmas trivia. That our fabulous producer has stumped us in the past weeks.
I won last week, but I'm not keeping track.
Right.
Are we doing
That's something
buzzer
that-
or are we doing alternating?
Let's buzz. My ear. Yeah, I got that. Okay, let's buzz. Ready?
All right. What is National Candy Cane Day?
What do you mean, what is it? Like that's.
Like, what is the day?
I need clarification on the question. Oh, when?
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, that would be better. When is National Candy Cane
Yeah.
Day, right?
Yep.
Yesterday.
The 24th.
No, but close.
Okay, well, that's great. The 25th.
No.
3rd.
6th. Okay, good.
I was actually either going the day before or the day after.
Okay,
But
that's great.
you win.
Okay. In what century was the first written use of Xmas?
19th.
No. Lower.
18th?
Lower.
16th.
Yeah.
What?
Yep. In the 1700s, they went ahead and said, I'm going to go ahead and take out the Christ of Christmas. Yeah, it's crazy.
Sorry, guys.
2-0 me, if you're keeping score. I don't know if you
Okay.
I never got my bagels for winning last week.
are.
I don't want a bagel. I'm just messing with you. Bagels,
All right,
no.
fun.
Sarcasm.
Funny one. What is the most popular meal on Christmas in Japan?
Whoa. Say that one more time.
What is the most popular meal for Christmas in Japan?
Don't say what you're thinking.
Ramen noodles.
No, it is fast food. I'll give you that hint. And
Oh, I thought you were.
McDonald's?
no,
Ooh. Is it a big chain?
Yes.
Wendy's.
No.
Oh no.
KFC?
Yes.
They have KFC in Japan?
Yeah, it was fact checked, so it's
Wow.
legit.
That is
That's pretty
very
outstanding.
strange.
It's scary and wrong, but yeah. Oh, it's good. Okay. All right. KFC. Christmas trivia. Here we go.
I don't know
More.
about how I feel about that.
KFC.
Okay, according to tradition, when should you have your Christmas tree or Christmas decorations down by?
Oh, yeah. Come on. January 8th.
No.
7th.
No.
Do I get to play?
No.
You're just saying numbers. First,
Oh.
third,
No, it's the
Fifth.
it's that.
yes!
Are you just saying numbers? Do I get to play?
I was at that point.
Yeah.
That point, I was just hoping
You got
to go.
one. I've got the rest.
I'm sweating. This game is stressful.
On average, how much do Americans spend on holiday shopping? And this is meaning like per person.
Per person.
So like how much Amy spent altogether for her gifts for people.
Okay. I will guess $7,218.
I was guessing like 800.
Yeah.
Well, like the big family factor.
I have a huge family that don't have $7,000.
$32,000.
Hey, good to know me. I
You were
guess.
close. Higher.
What did I say? 8?
Yes.
Is it like 9? 50?
$1,000.
$942.
Okay.
So
On average.
I guess it's really good to be part of my family. You know me.
And very unfortunate to be part of mine. No,
Yeah.
All right, last one. On average, how long does it take for a tree to reach its average ideal Christmas tree height?
That's like asking me what is room temperature. It's the temperature whatever the room is.
Isn't it like 15 years?
Yeah.
15 years!
Seemingly,
And that ends in a tie, folks!
seemingly that's a little bit disruptive.
Getting
right there.
high, getting low.
Okay, all right.
I can do a
okay.
tiebreaker.
We can do we need to do a tiebreaker.
Why?
Because we need
Why
to
can't we
settle.
just both win?
There's no two winners.
All right.
Wait, anything? Go ahead.
As a percentage, how many U.S. households put up a Christmas tree?
33.
Higher.
Scrooge? 82.
Lower.
67.
72.
Higher.
73.
Don't just
Not
do.
4.
75% of people put up trees.
Higher.
77.
Yep.
Yes!
I was okay. All right, so that is Christmas trivia, ladies and gentlemen. As you can see, the game is very fair and very structured. There's lots of rules.
I love winning!
A moment ago, can't we both just win? Now it's all about you winning.
I tried to let you win too, but you know.
You did. That's
Oh,
great.
okay.
Okay, we're moving on because we need to keep our people interested.
I'm very interested in what's happening here.
Let's keep our people interested. Tell some people about some of your positive vibes.
Cool. Alright,
Give some
so
positive vibes.
yeah, so I kind of made a list of, things that people need to hear closing out 2021. Just about, things that might help you finish out the year strong, things that might, help you in 2022. So just a quick recap. Last week I talked about not being late, owning your own stuff, timing is everything, and be anything but don't be angry. So those were the kind of 4 things I touched
Yep.
on last
Yep.
week. So I'm gonna start this week by find a way to forgive.
Nice.
I think people hold grudges a lot. So I think part of what would help make everybody, happier people is forgiving. And I think it's important to remember that forgiving isn't necessarily always, 100% believing or agreeing with what a person thinks or feels. But it's letting people, feel the way they feel and you are okay with that. Not that you agree with it, but you're at peace with it. People hold grudges for a long time and I feel like it might lead to, unhappiness for way longer than it should.
Right.
So find a way to forgive is my first one for today.
That's great.
My second one for today is laugh often. I think laughing keeps your soul young. I think laughter is the best medicine for anything happening in life.
It definitely helps, no doubt.
So when I feel the need to, I put on a really ridiculous movie or something that helps
Yeah.
me laugh. And take advantage of the times you get to laugh, because I feel like there's not as many as there used to be. So laugh often. My next one for today is be selfish with yourself. And what I mean by that is put your mental and physical well-being before others. I think a lot of people try to always make people around them feel more comfortable, or they spend time taking away from themselves to make sure others are okay, which is an admirable thing, but don't put it before you being okay. The only way to really help the people around you is to make sure you are healthy and well yourself with every kind of way. Get comfortable with the uncomfortable. And this is one of the ones that I'm speaking to myself more than what.
I think I've said that like 100 times.
Yeah, it is.
That's awesome.
It is, yes.
Awesome.
So
I love hearing you say it.
it's so hard. Like, this is a thing that, like, I've really been trying the past, I would say, year-ish.
Yeah, well, you've been given some tasks and put in front of some things that are just brand new to you.
Mhm.
So I mean, you're living it.
Yeah.
No, it's really great.
So I feel now that if I go a day without getting pushed outside my comfort zone, I'm not doing justice to myself or the people around me. And it's okay to be uncomfortable. Uncomfortable means growth. And another big thing is when, you hear someone say something that you don't agree with, it's okay to challenge them.
Right.
Not in a mean way, just for the sake of fighting, not the sake of arguing to argue, but if you hear people say something disrespectful you don't agree with, it's okay to be respectful back to them and say something that, might help them think a different way. I think there's very classy ways of doing that, and I think there's very
Totally.
not cool ways of doing that. So I would say, think before you speak in the ways of helping people grow through arguments and learn and live together.
I think that's really great.
I got one more for today, and that'll be your turn. Be generous. Not in money, not in take this new car, but in your knowledge and your wisdom and your life lessons. I think that the more people talk and share stories of what they've lived through and learned, I think it helps the entire universe grow, and it helps people around them grow. And I just think people have gotten so used to the idea of Christmas time being a time where they should get a chunk of money, and that's what holidays are about. That's what love is about. You show someone you love them or you appreciate them by how much money you give them. What about the past year of time you've spent together? What about that time that they sat next to you and held your hand when you cried? What about that time? I think it's just so easy for people to forget that stuff. So from an outsider listening perspective, know that people and their time means so much more than a check that's coming towards you. So be generous in your time with people.
Nice job. Very
Thank
nice.
you.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Very, 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 very nice. I really am proud of you tagging on to this and embracing the positivity of what we are and who we are as a team, and then really just listening to you speak and listening to you share. There's so much growth in where you were based on the challenges that you've been given and how you're viewing those right now. It's really, really comforting to see.
Thank you.
And watch that evolvement, and I'm really glad to hear that, and I'm glad to hear you share it and speak it. Good
Thank
job.
you. Appreciate it.
So my turn and mine. So I wrote this, and I wrote this over the last few days of just experiencing some difficulties and experiencing some trials and tribulations, and recognizing that it's pretty easy to kind of look around and notice that you can be alone pretty quickly, in alone in your own thought and alone in your own head. So I guess just I'm going to share this, and it is it's personal, but yet it's real. So that's what makes it. That's what I think makes it strong. So here we go. So life can be hard, and life can be rough, but there's something special. There's something powerful about the human mind, and about the human spirit, and about the human will When you tell yourself, I won't give up, I won't surrender, I will show up every single day and do the best that I can. And here's the beautiful thing about you, is while you're going through your process, and while you're trying to navigate these waters, and while you're still trying to tweak some stuff within yourself, you have the power to save somebody else's life. You've got the power to speak up for others. You have the power to be the voice of reason for someone who might be on the verge of doing something that they shouldn't do. You have the power to brighten somebody's day. Your words are powerful. Your energy is powerful. So I don't want you all to think that you have to have it all together and everything you have is got to be perfect in order for you to be a leader. Realize this, folks. You can make an impact. You can make a difference. You can have somebody's life you can help somebody's life right now by you just being simply you and you walking in that calling and speaking life into them because maybe you were affirmed. And you can let others know that I see you, I'm with you, and I got your back. And you're not by yourself. And I will hold your hand as you go through this journey. And even though I'm struggling, I don't mind fighting on your behalf. And we're going to figure this thing out together. The key word there is we're going to figure this out together. There's something beautiful about us having the mindset of us being together. Not black, white, Asian, Hispanic, Republican, Democrat, gay or straight, male, female. It's us coming together saying, we're human. We're here, and I believe that there is more that makes us together than there are more things that we have in common than there are things that are different. What makes us, that's what I think makes us absolutely amazing, is the things that we have in common, not the things that we are different. Just think about that for a little bit. You got to realize that you're here for a reason. You got to remind yourself, I feel like I've been pushed down in the dirt, I've been stomped on. Things around me are just continuing to rain down negativity. Well, guess what? What you didn't realize is that you're a seed. And that seed just got planted. I was put here for a reason. And I'm here sharing this with you to encourage you to change your mindset. After I'm done, maybe re-listen to this. And even if you feel like you're in a weird place, you feel stuck, or maybe you feel like you just need help, go get that help that you need. That's how you show your strength and power to make that difference. So I want to challenge you guys to make the most of this lesson. Speak life, continue to love, encourage. Wrap your arms around those who are struggling and let them know that you're not in this by themselves. What you're not going to do is you're not going to quit. We're not going to surrender. We're not going to stand still. We know that eventually everything's going to change. Eventually it will turn for the good, and we will be stronger from it. And this will make us better people. Remember, you can't control what happens to your friends, but you can control how you respond to it. Yesterday ended last night. Today is going on right now, with or without you. Live your life with the one or the people who give you happiness, and then tomorrow will be a gift. I really, especially around the holidays, there's so much going on. There's so many people feeling the stress, the pressure, the alone, the I'm helpless. We all have struggles. We are all going through something. We all have issues. But man, it takes just a half a second to put your arm around somebody and say, it's gonna be okay. I'm gonna go through this with you. We'll get through this. And you realize a lot more about who your friends, support staff, trust team really are when you come to moments like that. So don't let these holidays beat you. And they tend to, you know, the suicide and all the stupidity raises during this time, but it doesn't have to. So listen to that again and watch it and let it kind of marinate inside of you, and then go out and do something about it and make a difference. So there is my little inspiration and motivation for today. Thank you for giving a moment of me to preach that, if you will, but it is something that I think needed to be said. So I did it. I said it.
Do you feel
Inspired?
inspired? Do you feel a brick down? Do you feel
Yeah.
something off of your back?
I think that you know, these last few days I have been working pretty diligently about putting bricks down
Mm-hmm.
and unpacking some of the stuff that you carry, because at the end of the day, the realization of knowing that, yeah, I'm gonna be okay because I've been okay in the past, and I've had other circumstances and situations that I've gotten through, and those are the times you just kind of relate back to those to
For sure.
say, yeah, you know
It'll be
what,
okay.
I'll be okay.
Mhm.
And I'm here to tell you guys you'll be okay. It's not gonna put you away. So, indeed.
Awesome. I like
And now we move on to our talk today about title.
Hold 1 second.
Okay.
It said it was interrupted.
It's back though.
It's back? Okay,
Yeah.
sorry. I just saw it was
It was
interrupted.
literally like a second.
Okay, cool.
Great. So we're back. We're back live. I didn't bring. I think we might have to share if you have the whole thing there. So we may have to pass back and forth.
Let's see how much you know.
Brittany, unless you have yours.
I do not have mine
Oh,
with
great.
me.
Okay, that's okay. So we're going to talk about the different ways to hold title, and really, what does that mean?
What does that mean?
So, when you buy a property, you have different ways that you can hold title with your spouse, as an individual, as a couple that has not necessarily been married yet. There are different ways that you guys can collectively share ownership in property. And we're here to tell you about some of the different ways. And a couple of them do not apply necessarily to Illinois, Indiana. So we may or may not even broach on those. But the common ones, I think, are terms that you may have heard. And if you haven't heard, no big deal. We'll kind of go through the definition of those and go through those.
And by holding title, we mean how a property gets deeded to you
Correct.
at the closing.
Correct.
And when you talk to your attorney, how you want to hold title.
Right.
All right. So Drew's lucky enough to get the first one.
I am.
Joint tenancy.
Great.
Do you want
So joint tenancy
Let's see
is
how
going
much
to
you know.
be
Just kidding.
joint tenancy is literally what it says. The term joint tenancy, pretty common. It was one of the most common ways to do this. I'll simply read it to you to give you the
what it is.
everybody views it
Definition,
as,
yeah.
right? It occurs when two or more people hold title to real estate jointly, with equal rights to enjoy the property during their lives. So if one of the parties die, their rights of ownership pass to the surviving tenant through a legal relationship known as rights of survivorship. Tenants can either enter into joint tenancy at the same time. This usually occurs through the deed, as Amy mentioned. So you can be in joint tenancy with 3 people. All right. What happens is that if one of the 3 die, your third is
Interesting.
divided by the other 2 that are remaining.
Right.
Okay. So you all own it jointly.
And it automatically just transfers to the other people
It
holding
just
the property.
transfers upon death to the other people with rights of survivorship in that process. So that was something that was just ridiculously common,
Mhm.
became the status quo of what
Like the
everybody
go-to,
was.
yeah.
It would be, Drew and Carol, husband and wife, as joint tenants, is how they would list that on the deed.
Mhm.
And then there came about all these new different things that allow different opportunities
Mhm.
and different definitions of the ownership. So
Right.
go on to, so I guess, we can talk for a second maybe about the advantages and disadvantages of some of those, right?
Yeah.
To talk about why would you do that versus why you wouldn't. So when you've got multiple people, that's a great time for the joint tenancy piece.
Yes.
You want to include, you've got mom, dad, and maybe son or daughter.
Mhm.
So that when something happens to mom, dad, son or daughter is going to be left with the property.
Correct.
So that's one of
Yes.
the easier ways that you don't have to go through the process of, redeeding the property or retransferring the property. It just happens
Mhm.
naturally through,
Right.
through the death
100%.
process. So that's probably the biggest
I think that's the
advantage
biggest
to
like
that.
why. Yes.
Right. The downside is that the financing or use of the property for a financial gain, it's gotta be approved by all the parties. So one of the parties can't go out and put a mortgage on the property without the other two knowing, is really what that's just saying.
Mhm.
It's literally, mom, dad, daughter, well, daughter can't go out and mortgage up the house without mom, dad knowing. So it's, there's some controls to that to allow the ability to, keep it in that 1/3 interest each. And sometimes we'll even spell it out, it'll be, mom, dad, Susie as joint tenants, with all with a third ownership. Sometimes they literally elaborate,
Right.
but that's kind of redundant, because
Mhm.
as
It's
title
up-
folks,
yeah.
we know what it means, we get it, but some people wanna be thoroughly, defining this and clarifying.
But what if there is unequal percent ownerships that people want to hold?
So, yeah, that's what you're gonna tell them.
So I am. That's what we are. We in title call tenancy in common. So that's when two or more people hold title to real estate jointly with equal or unequal percentages of ownership. So this would be laid out in a deed as to, what's the name you usually use? What's your go-to? Joe Moke. What's your
John Q. Public.
John Q. Public.
Yes.
Owns 40% and Sarah Smith owns 60% ownership. Kind of lay out who owns what percentage. So I guess my question has always been like, what is the advantage of that? So is it when people if somebody comes in with more money?
Yeah.
Is that when it's usually most commonly used?
Yeah, a lot of times, depending on their creditworthiness, depending on if they're gonna maybe they're holding the mortgage in its entirety.
Okay.
So they want to keep the majority ownership of that. So then now if John Public dies, 60% of his Sarah Smith and John Public.
Correct. I was just
Yeah.
telling you the other name.
Right,
because we
got
needed
it. No, I knew that. So John Public's 60% ownership is divided by his heirs.
And that's the biggest difference between joint tenancy and tenants in common. In tenancy in common, if one of the owners of real estate passes, like Drew said, it does not automatically default to the other owner. It goes to their heirs and legatees.
Right.
So the property is no longer just held in Sarah Smith
Correct.
based on his passing. It's Sarah Smith
And now
and the heirs of
John Q.
John
Public.
Q. Public.
Right.
It gets a little dicey.
Yeah.
With all that's why it's so important to kind of know the differences when you're getting a house deeded to you, that you know what it actually means. So do you want it, two people aren't married, you own it as tenancy in common, so then if she passes, then her son,
Yep.
it gets really, it's intricate. So just make sure when you talk to your attorney, you know exactly how what will happen to your property if someone passes.
And it's really been set up for that reason, so that you don't have to go through the process of redoing the deed and redeeding the parcel, and or going through the whole process of getting it down to the kids.
Mhm.
It's a means for, if something happens to me, these things happen.
Correct.
And that, as a title person, that Amy is spending time looking at those things to make determination of, has this properly followed the path that it is supposed to based on the tenancy?
Correct.
Because oftentimes, somebody dies and you go, whoa, how did it get from these folks to these folks, because the names aren't necessarily the same anymore.
Correct.
And now you are doing that little backpedaling, going, okay, how were they as tenants?
Held the whole time.
Were they
Yeah.
joint tenants? Were they tenants in common? Were they tenants by the entirety?
Right.
And onward.
Yep.
And then once the title team knows that answer, that allows them to go further into the digging and sleuthing to determine, yes, it passed through this way. Whereas, again, joint tenants passes to the surviving owner. In tenants in common, it's, this is my piece, that's your piece, we collectively own this, but I own a little bit more, and then when something happens to my piece, it goes downward, it doesn't go across, it goes down.
And I'm gonna step in super duper quick, even though it's a 60-40% ownership, it doesn't mean the house is divided. You get 60% usage, I get 40% usage. It is talking about your interest in the property, not how much of the property you have a right to use.
And it's funny, because as funny as that sounds, people are literal.
It is.
Like, they will look at the house and go, well, 60% of this space is mine.
Yes.
And I just laugh. No, it's really not.
Well, because for someone that doesn't know,
Yes.
it makes sense, as silly as it sounds.
Are there some disadvantages to it?
The big one we talked about was it doesn't allow for automatic survivor rights.
Correct.
I think that's the biggest disadvantage of holding property this way.
Correct.
And then the other part that's brought up is all tenants share the liability for any debts on the property.
Yes.
So can we talk about that just a
course.
smidgen? So when you take out a mortgage, you can hold a property jointly or as tenants in common,
Mm-hmm.
but you only have one person on the mortgage.
100%.
If that person passes, you still have the liability for that mortgage, or you do not anymore.
So.
Sorry, is that
No, that's a good
in
question.
depth?
It's a very good question. So because you're married and your estate, and that's where it gets into probate, and that's where it gets into what do you own as a
Right.
whole. So John Q. Public dies, Sarah Smith now, are they married? If they're not married, it's different.
Right.
If they're married, if it's John Public and Sarah Public, Sarah now, even though John was the only
Mortgage,
individual on the
yeah.
mortgage, okay, she owns the house, so her liability, she still has the ability to pay the mortgage
they're
and
married.
stay there if they're married.
Got it.
So,
Okay.
in obviously the reasoning behind why people, one spouse does the mortgage versus maybe both, maybe credit
Credits,
scores,
yeah.
maybe their people are, business, work opportunities, like they don't wanna, muddy the difference and attach to the house. There's
Correct.
myriad of different reasons as to why,
Right.
but the liability, the ownership liability, as you stated before, in the tenants in common, like, they still can't go out and mortgage without the other.
Right. They still have to sign off on that.
Exactly, they still have to agree to that,
Correct.
so,
Interesting. Okay, and then the other part is they talk about tax liability.
right,
So however people work it out, if you're 60% of taxes, I have 40% taxes based on ownership, it doesn't matter. Taxes as a whole is a liability on the entire property.
and if you think about it, taxes are usually incurred within the mortgage.
Usually, correct,
So,
yes.
so whoever's paying the mortgage, which even if it's John, I mean, John and Sarah are contributing it to
Right.
collectively, because they're working, or it's the household typically,
But if you do it where
There's-
only 60% of taxes are paid, the entire house could get,
yes,
yes. Taxes can get sold for the entire house or taxes not paid for.
Absolutely.
Taxes are hard.
Absolutely.
Let's pay taxes. That is something you need to do.
It really, it really is, there are so many different opportunities, and conversations of how, and really laying that out. That's where we say, definitely talk to your attorneys. Your real estate attorneys will guide you in the best direction and let you know kind of what the do's and don'ts of what
Correct.
this is, so. So, the one that is common now, most common now, and it's kind of the default one in Illinois, is tenants by the entirety, which I simply define it as whatever I own, you own. However, the biggest difference of this one versus the others is this one can absolutely only be entered into if you're married. It has to be a married couple that enter into tenants by the entirety. So ultimately, it's whatever I have, you have. And whatever, if something happens to me, it goes to you, you know. My percentages, your percentages, they're the same, you know, it's the same thing, okay? They're holding this thing by the entirety of the two, but it can only be done with a married couple. The advantage of this is that no legal action needs to take place at the death of a spouse.
One spouse.
Of one spouse.
Correct, because it will transfer automatically
Right.
to the other spouse.
There's no need for the will and probate or any other legal action isn't necessary because it transfers directly over, okay? Like joint tenancy, but different from joint tenancy in that you don't have to be married in joint tenancy
Correct.
to hold that, okay? A disadvantage of this,
I have no idea how I hold my house right now.
right, makes you think about it,
We
right?
just had this talk a few weeks ago.
Did I look at mine? Sorry.
Yeah.
So disadvantages is the conveyance of the property must be done together and that the property cannot be subdivided, meaning I can't give away my
Part
portion
of
of it,
interest, yeah.
okay? Not subdivided in the sense of subdividing your land or anything, it's subdividing your interest, your ownership of that property. So in the case of a divorce, that's where it gets really kind of quirky is, this title automatically converts to a tenancy in common, meaning that one owner can transfer ownership to their other respective property, whoever they wish.
That
So
happens in a divorce, whether there's no deed or anything recorded?
within
Interesting.
the tenants by entirety, it absolutely allows the conversion to a tenancy in common, meaning that the one owner, okay, so whichever spouse, okay, can
John?
transfer ownership to the respective part of the property to whomever they wish. So they can give it to their
Interesting. I didn't know what
kids,
to-
they
that's
can give it to
crazy.
they can give it to their family, however they wanna do this. So, again, tenants by the entirety leaves a little bit more opportunity to, you know, manipulate and play around with some things.
Yeah.
It avoids the probate and the will piece. That doesn't mean to say don't do it, don't have a will, because there are other assets that are necessary to take care of. But as far as your property goes, as far as your rights to the property, the tenants by the entirety really does speak to that. And if there is no tenancy mentioned, if it's just John Public and Sarah Public as husband and wife, and nothing after that is said, it is defaulted to tenants by the entirety in Illinois,
If you're married.
if you're married.
Yes.
Well, husband and wife. That's
Oh,
yeah.
sorry, you said that, my bad.
John, yeah,
My
so
bad.
now if they're not married, it defaults to joint tenancy.
Got it. Huh. I didn't know about the divorce. Interesting. Cool.
You learn something every day.
I do.
It's a good day.
Alright, the last one I'm going to talk about is sole ownership.
Pretty straightforward.
You own it by yourself.
Yep.
It could be held by an individual or an entity that can hold title, so an LLC or corporation.
Correct.
So I think the only part of this that kind of gets confusing is you don't have to be single to own in sole ownership. You can hold in sole ownership even if you're married.
Very good.
But I think that's like when I first started seeing sole ownership, that was the
Very
part that confused me about it. So the most common sole ownership is a single man or woman,
Right.
and like I said, and then you can be married and hold in sole ownership, but just say John is holding this in sole ownership, even though he's married too.
Yeah, and again, that's the
Sarah.
protection piece because people
Uh-huh.
own businesses, corporations, and they need to have that separation in their lives,
Yes.
and that's okay.
100% is okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
Usually on these deeds, there will be somewhere that the spouse does have to sign off.
Yeah.
Say, right? That like
Homestead.
homestead. They will have to say like, I do know my husband's doing this, but I'm signing off that it's okay for him to hold it this way.
And a simple definition of homestead or a simple explanation of homestead is, you know, if you've occupied or lived in that property for any time through the course of ownership, then you need to sign your homestead right, which is in Illinois, that says, I'm signing my rights to live in this property over to whomever we're selling this to. So if John is just on the deed by himself, John is married, we found out through title search that John is married. So we say, well, wait a minute, where's John's wife? Oh, she's not on the property. Yeah, okay, but she lived there, they lived there together.
Correct.
So therefore, Sarah still needs to sign off her homestead right, which is her right to live in that property, to officially sell that property.
Correct.
These are the things that can come back in the end and go, I never signed off my homestead rights and I still own that property and I want it back. That's where title comes in plays and says, oops, or yeah, we told you about that. You gotta
Right.
deal with that.
Right.
So just don't confuse and don't misunderstand that just because your name is not on the document, the deed,
Like,
doesn't mean you have no right in the property. Actually, you have more rights than you think,
You do.
and you need to be part of the transaction. You need to be notified of all the goings on. It's being sold. It's being transferred. We're taking out another mortgage. Whatever the case may be, you have a right to be aware. So,
Correct. Biggest disadvantage is if you're holding in sole ownership and something happens to you, then, like what happens? If, it would default to going to look into the will, but if you don't have a will, it goes to probate, which is a huge mess. So be careful if you are holding in sole ownership that you've thought fully through what you want done with that property
Great
when
point.
something happens.
That's a great point, and that goes back to the will piece of saying, well, do I need one? So we're not saying don't get a will because of some of these abilities to hold title, can take care of it, because in the sole ownership piece, it doesn't take care of it.
It does not take
It is
care of anything.
important that is dealt with, and that is something that is addressed at some point, so. And really the final one, and it doesn't really apply here to Illinois.
And then we can just cut.
Yeah, it really doesn't apply, so it's called community property, which is really literally just that it's ownership by a bunch of different people. It's very similar to joint tenancy, and
Weird.
it's very probable that in these states such as like New Mexico, Idaho, Louisiana, this is their synonym for joint tenancy.
Okay.
Okay, and it's seemingly that, we don't see this here in Illinois and Indiana because that's not the common practice of what this is. You can have corporation ownership, you can have partnership ownership, like a partnership could buy a piece of property.
Correct.
For example, like, let's say you're buying the property that you're gonna put your office building on. That partnership can own that, the corporation can own that. Amazon owns the land that they built these, big
Right.
buildings on.
Right.
So those are
Yeah, you don't need to be an individual or a human
No.
necessarily to own property. You can own it as a corporation, an LLC.
Yeah, I mean, the legal entity of the corporation is the title holder.
Mhm.
Inspired Title is the owner of that property, so it would be Inspired Title.
Inspired Development has a couple proparties,
Yeah, I mean, I
Inland
own
Division.
several properties within the development company, so corporations, LLCs, partnerships, limited liability companies, I mean, all kinds of different opportunities, but there's no special notation
Like
of
vesting,
saying it's just defined in the fact that they're a company, they're an LLC, partnership, whatever they are, however they're nominated in by the city, by the state.
And that's when we do our searches, we have to look at the documentation of these
Right.
corporations and these limited liability companies that own these to make sure the person that is selling the property has the right to sell that property. So it gets a little messy. There's a little bit more of just a title exam on the back to make sure that everything is transferred how it should be.
And that really,
Side note,
that's a
sorry.
great little summary as to what we do. We talk about all the different things a title company does, but really this piece is probably one of the bigger pieces of following the chain of title to making sure that the ownership is continually transferred properly, so that when you buy it at the end, or you take title at the end, all these prior transfers have taken place and done correctly,
Correct.
and there's not that person hiding out in the weeds that didn't sign their homestead rights, or is a divorced party that has still ownership and has not been properly transferred.
That's what we do.
This is a simple statement of what we do and the protection that you get from a title insurance company. Like Inspired Title, one of the best, if not the best, out there for you guys.
I was trying to point to
That
our
was
light bulb.
a shameless plug for it.
It's also important to know these too because, for instance, I was advised to do a different vesting when we purchased our property, not knowing what they were.
Right?
Looked into it, discussed it with people, and realized that even though my attorney recommended that for me because he thought that was best for us
Right.
since we weren't married, no, that was not the best for us personally. And it was really interesting to
enlightening, yeah.
Yeah.
know that like what could happen if we did that and something happened to us. You know what I mean?
It's a great observation, and a lot of people will put their interest into a trust, and that's another animal in itself. But you hide behind that layer of protection of a trust, and now when people go to look and see, who owns that property? Does Amy own that property? Well, they look and see, well, Marquette National Bank as trustee owns that property. Okay, but who really owns that property? We have to do a little more digging to
Yeah.
get to what that is. So
Those trust docs from the 70s are very
totally
complicated.
different, totally new conversations, but another layer of protection to kind of keep you guys safe.
Absolutely.
So, if you have any questions,
That was a lot. So
yeah.
if you do have questions on that, please come to us and we will be
reach
happy
out,
to
give us a shout. We're happy to
talk through
chat it up, and it's what we do every day, and we love it. So thank you
We
guys
do.
for listening, and hopefully that was helpful. Hopefully you guys got a little bit of something out of that, and you took something away from that. So moving on and get these folks on
Yeah,
with
so let's
their
wrap
happy
this-
day. Yeah, wrap this bad boy up. We've been rambling here.
We are just chatting away today.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, chatting away. So instead of chatting away, I wrote away. I wrote and I wrote and I wrote. The COVID absolutely inspired me to write a book. Inspired is just kind of what I live and what I do. I wrote a book called The 2-Hour Difference. It is available on Amazon. It's a great read. It's a great holiday gift. Pick your copy up. Give it to family and friends. It'll teach them some life lessons, how to go about those life lessons, how to bring those life lessons to reality and fruition. I'm happy to and proud to have done it, and thank you guys for supporting that book as well. And onward. Look at that, we're just ripping through.
Oh.
ITG gives back.
Perfect. So we have some exciting stuff up and coming in 2022. I do not want to give too many details yet because that's how I keep you on the string of what is happening at Inspired Title.
Like it.
But we are participating. We're starting our year off. We're starting 2022 off with Feed My Starving Children.
Can't wait.
Cannot wait to do that. It's been something we've been talking about since around Thanksgiving time, and they book up fast, which is a great thing to see other people, helping out. But we were able to snag our spot January 7th. So stay tuned for TikToks and fun video footage of us with our caps on, because you have to wear
Yes.
the hairnets.
Yes.
And we are also affiliated with Homes for Heroes. So if you are a hero, there are a lot of you out there. Make sure you reach out to Inspired Title Group to do your next refinance or real estate closing, because we will give you the money back that you deserve and rightfully earned.
Thank you for that. We are all about the giving piece, folks.
We are.
Absolutely. So let's wrap this up. Send these folks home.
Alrighty.
Your quote, Aim. What
My
you got?
quote today
Bring
is,
it.
there are far better things ahead than any we leave behind.
Woohoo!
C.S. Lewis always looked forward to what's coming there because you left behind stuff for a reason, so leave it in the past.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Love it. My quote is something that I've kind of sort of committed to memory. If you want something you've never had, you got to do something that you've never done. Do something that you've never done to get what you haven't had. Simple. Guys, get out there, practice it, love it, live it.
Uncomfortable is good.
Uncomfortable is good.
Uncomfortable is
Step
good.
out of the boat. You're gonna hit water. It's okay. Know that you're gonna hit water. You're gonna survive. You'll be fine. I hope that you guys found this to be
Thank you for
enlightening.
being here with us. I feel really good after that. I feel very motivated. I feel
That's good. And that, again, we do this show for the people. We do this show to let people know that Inspired Title is the company that is out there that is just trying to do their part and educating the community and getting involved in the community and sharing some of who we are with you guys. So I hope you guys find some value in this, because we do. We enjoy doing this weekly. We are on all the social media platforms. Like us, subscribe, please share it with your family and friends. I think there's some really great messages that are out there that people definitely need to hear. You don't know who's gonna hear it and just take something away from it. Your words are so impactful and so powerful, and you don't even know who you're inspiring. So hopefully you guys get a chance to go out and inspire somebody today. I'm gonna do it. That's something I'm gonna do today. So thank you guys for listening. Until next week, my name is Drew.
And my name is Amy.
Thanks for joining, and have a great weekend as it moves up to Christmas. We'll see you guys next Thursday. Take care, everybody.
Well, there you have it. That is it for this week's edition of Title Talk. Be sure to head over to our Inspired YouTube page and subscribe and like. And make sure you follow the team on Instagram and Facebook. Join us again next time for more tips and knowledge from the industry pros. Thanks again for listening.